Why do women cheat so often? The answer is simple. And once you understand it, you can't unsee it. At the beginning of every relationship, everything is built on intense, unforgettable moments. Strong emotions. Bright experiences. Constant anticipation. You miss each other, argue about who misses more, send emojis before sleep, wait for messages like their rewards. Then come trips together, vacations, plans to live together. You're always waiting for the next milestone. And here's the key, every one of these moments releases dopamine. Later, pregnancy. Then childbirth. Each new event raises the stakes. Each one feels stronger and more emotional than the last. That's progression. And then it stops. The big emotional events are over. What comes next is routine, daily life, responsibilities. Now you have to invest energy instead of receiving it. At the beginning, you felt energized, creative, you needed less sleep, you were excited just waiting for a meeting. But family life starts consuming energy instead of supplying it. An unprepared person suddenly thinks, where did I end up? I didn't sign up for this. At first, a woman tolerates it. Then she becomes irritated, dissatisfied, emotionally empty. But she understands one thing very clearly, there is a way out, to feel those emotions again. And yes, it's possible. Just not with you. Cheating becomes the fastest way to feel alive again. Most people don't take this seriously. They watch, scroll, and think, interesting theory. This is not a theory. This is exactly what will happen in the lives of most people you know. They won't survive the contrast, from hot to cold. Mentally strong men prepare for this in advance. They understand one brutal truth, a woman's behavior during the romantic phase will always be better than during the pragmatic phase. There is no example where a woman behaves worse at the beginning and better later in family life. People desperately try to deceive themselves. They ask, what if we get married? What if we have a child? Maybe she'll become better. That question alone shows total misunderstanding. At the beginning, a woman is flooded with hormones. That's not the real her. That's her best version multiplied by 300%. Later, during family life, it won't even be 100%. Why? Responsibilities, obligations, lack of sleep, stress. But nobody talks about this. Not in movies. Not in books. Nowhere. That's why people suffer, not because they suddenly want their partner less, but because reality didn't match expectations. Imagine it's your birthday and someone whispers in your ear, you're getting a car. You're overwhelmed, emotional, maybe even close to tears. Then, no car. Even if you still receive a good gift, the day is ruined. Why? Because expectations were set incorrectly. Without expectations, you'd be grateful. That's how relationships work. People believe infatuation will last forever. It won't. Dopamine-based relationships always transition into oxytocin-based ones. Oxytocin isn't passion, it's closeness, attachment, stability. That's what real family life is built on. Only about 10% of people understand this. The other 90% fight, divorce, and cheat. Cheating never starts in bed. It starts much earlier, and almost always in the same way. Before entering a serious relationship, a person must mentally lock themselves out of cheating. But most people don't do that, especially women, so let's be honest about the process. Stage 1 is simple and almost invisible. Lingering looks at attractive men. In movies, on social media, at work, in daily life. The gaze stays a little longer than necessary. Why does this matter? Because even looking already releases dopamine. There is already a biochemical reward. Stage 2 is stronger. Now the attention comes back. It's no longer just, he's attractive. It's, he noticed me. That's a double dopamine hit. If you think women dress well, train, and take care of themselves only for their husbands, you're being naive. External validation matters more than most people want to admit. Stage 3 is flirting disguised as politeness. I'm just being friendly. It's nothing. This can happen even in front of the husband. And the moment he reacts, she flips the situation and makes him look insecure or controlling. Stage 4 is obvious but still deniable. Clear signals of interest without direct words. A trainer at the gym. A boss at work. A colleague. A joke with subtext. A certain posture. People exchange signals, but nothing is said directly, so technically it's not cheating. But the line is already crossed. Here's the problem: once the pleasure starts increasing, stopping becomes extremely difficult. A person moving upward on this emotional curve almost never stops voluntarily. There is nothing that can stop it except an external interruption. There is no woman who cheats without going through these stages. It's impossible to instantly jump from zero to betrayal. Yes, extreme cases exist, but for most women cheating is a process, not a moment. And if a woman is used to just being friends with men, casually flirting on autopilot, keeping former lovers around, posting provocative photos, and enjoying constant attention, then she is already in a low start position. Everything is prepared. She's just waiting for the signal. At that point, cheating can happen very fast. Much faster than most men think. There are clear signs that a woman is emotionally ready to cheat, even if nothing physical has happened yet. The key thing to understand is this: there is no woman who cheats without preparation. You don't just look at a man and instantly end up betraying your partner. For most women, cheating is a gradual buildup. One major red flag is male friends who clearly want more. Former partners still in contact. Men who openly chase her. If she keeps them around, she is not being naive, she is keeping options. Another sign is constant self-justification. I'm just friendly. I'm just social. You're overreacting. These phrases are not explanations. They are defenses. They appear only when boundaries are already crossed. If she posts provocative photos, seeks attention, enjoys being desired, and doesn't shut down flirtatious behavior, then mentally she's already standing at the starting line. Everything is prepared. All that's missing is the trigger. Many men believe they can stop this process by behaving better, being nicer, explaining, or confronting. That's a mistake. Once dopamine is involved, logic loses its power. Here's a brutal truth most men don't want to hear. At the moment when she emotionally switches to another man, you are no longer competing. You are already out. That other man is now the dopamine supplier. And as long as he plays that role, nothing you do will matter. She won't feel guilt. She won't accept responsibility. She won't admit anything. Not because she's evil, but because her brain is chemically rewarded for what's happening. Any attempt to reason with her at this stage is pointless. Even if she suddenly discovers something strange about the other man, it won't stop her. Dopamine doesn't care about logic. It cares about stimulation. That's why so many men say, "She left me for someone worse." That's exactly the point. It was never about quality. It was about chemistry. And this is the moment most relationships die, even if they technically still exist. Men often ask the wrong question. They ask, "Can I stop her from cheating?" That question already comes too late. If a woman has reached the stage where she emotionally switched to another man, nothing can be stopped. At that moment she doesn't understand that there's no future with him, and she doesn't want to understand it. Even if she walks into a room and sees that new man doing something ridiculous, it won't change anything. As long as he is the dopamine source, reality doesn't matter. He could behave strangely, act immature, even embarrass himself, and she would still stay emotionally attached. And here's something important: whatever happens, she will not admit guilt. Not now. Not later. And definitely not to you. Her brain is protecting the source of pleasure, and any threat to it will be perceived as an attack. This is why arguments, ultimatums, emotional conversations, or attempts to explain yourself always fail at this stage. Logic cannot compete with neurochemistry. So can cheating be stopped? Yes, but only before it starts. Not at the peak. Not in the middle. Only at the very beginning, when boundaries still exist. Once those boundaries are gone, the process becomes self-reinforcing. Dopamine, secrecy, risk, and novelty create a loop that feeds itself. This is why men often feel powerless. They are trying to fix something at the exact moment when fixing it is no longer possible. Cheating almost never happens in the first months of a relationship. Most men don't know a single story where betrayal happened 2 or 3 months in. Why? Because there's no motivation yet. The risk rises sharply when the relationship transitions from dopamine to oxytocin. That takes years, not weeks. Or it happens instantly after major life changes: children, burnout, long routines, or a woman returning to work after maternity leave. Long-term relationships naturally lose emotional intensity. That's normal. The brain adapts. Sensitivity increases, receptors multiply, and small positive moments start to matter more. But here's the danger. If, at that moment, a new man appears from the outside, the contrast can be overwhelming. A new story. New attention. New emotions. It can completely overload the system. She may still receive oxytocin from her husband, safety, stability, familiarity, while getting dopamine from another man. And on top of that, secrecy adds adrenaline. Fear of being caught becomes another stimulant. This combination is extremely powerful. Much stronger than most men realize. This is why cheating often feels sudden, but in reality it's the result of long internal preparation. If you enter long-term relationships, you must do it with one clear understanding: at some point, you will be tempted. If not strongly, then at least slightly. If someone tells you otherwise, they're lying, to you or to themselves. If a person enters a relationship purely for pleasure, the ending is predictable. Sooner or later the pleasure moves elsewhere. Then only 2 options remain: cheating or suffering. Both are bad outcomes. That's why a sober view is critical. You must clearly understand what connects you besides passion, hormones, and excitement. Shared values. Shared responsibilities. A common direction. Without that, the relationship has no foundation. Many men dream of a caring woman. But what is care? It's sacrifice of time and energy. Many want loyalty. But loyalty is sacrifice of excess emotions and external attention. Many want a calm, kind woman. But that requires sacrifice of ego, pride, and impulsive reactions. Here's a simple rule: reliability is always measured outside of infatuation. Any good behavior during the romantic phase means almost nothing. Hormones pay people to be nice. Look at how a woman behaves when being kind is inconvenient. When no one is watching. When there's no reward. When she gains nothing emotionally. That's where real character shows. A potential cheater has no habit of sacrifice. She wants to be happy, fulfilled, inspired, but not responsible. She plans to receive, not to give. Such a woman doesn't think in terms of we. She thinks in terms of me. A woman capable of long-term loyalty is different. She has moments in her life where she willingly put her emotions aside for someone else. Not because she was in love. Not because she was afraid to lose someone. But because it matched her internal values. Cheating is not an accident. It's a consequence. And the sooner a man understands this, the fewer illusions he will have, and the fewer painful surprises await him.